Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben Reeve and this is The Tipping Point, where every single week of the 2025 AFL season, I'm going to be here, rain, hail or shine, giving my tips, giving some insight into my strategy, which is highly complex and maybe a complete waste of time. But I'll give you my thoughts on why I'm going to pick certain teams throughout the year. But I'm also going to go back and have a look at the week before to see how I went. Now, this is, I guess, the second video. The first video I did off the tipping point was last week, where I looked at my ladder, the top 8, but also the whole ladder for 2025, as well as gave a little bit of insight into how I'm going about this year. So it is heavily weighted towards home teams, but that is probably an oversimplification. In saying that, I don't want to bore you just yet. If you're interested in that side of stuff, I will save some space at the end of the video for that. So I'm going to launch basically straight into it. I should say, though, straight off the top, these videos will go out every single Monday night at 8:30. Yeah, it's a bit early in the week. That's okay. I'll probably record this at the conclusion of each round. I'm not as concerned about who's playing, who's not playing, who's picked, who's injured. I don't really look too closely at that. Clearly, if there's an absolute carnage going through a team one week, they're resting 10 players on the eve of the finals, maybe I'll have a look at that, but normally I don't care. I don't think it affects results too much, my personal opinion. But as I said, I'll be here every Monday night at 8:30. I'll start off by having a look at the results from the week before, and then I'll launch into my tips for this week. If this is your first time here, though, thanks for clicking on the video and checking it out. As I said, my name is Ben. Hopefully I'll see you again. It would be helpful for the channel if you did like the video. If you love the video, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to give me some feedback about why you think I'm such an idiot, why my tips are completely wrong, why I didn't pick your team, you've got that option in the chat, in the comments below. Now, there is a footy tipping competition for the Hoops crew as well. I will leave a link to that in the notes for the show, so make sure you click that link. You can play for free. You can pay an entry fee of $10. We'll have a prize at the end of the year for anyone who wants to pay a fee to go into that prize draw. All right, that's out of the way. Let's get into it. Let's get into some, I guess. There's no results, really. Normally, I'd start this show off going through the results from the week before, and I don't really want to bore you by going through the preseason results. I'm not going to do that, other than to say absolute injury carnage across the whole league, really. Some clubs copped it a little bit more than others, but it hasn't been a great few weeks, and a lot of questions have been asked around, are we doing it the right way with the preseason comp? Would you rather just launch straight into the AFL season without seeing your club? Would you rather get injured in the regular season when it counts rather than some practice match sim type setup? But there has, at the same time, there's been a lot of talk about bringing back representative footy, and maybe in the preseason that's the best time to do it. And maybe clubs just go away and have their own practice matches or intra clubs behind closed doors and all that. And we just, we show on Foxtel and Channel 7 some representative footy like Indigenous All Stars or Victoria versus South Australia or WA or something like that every year. Will players play those kind of games? I don't know. All right, I've waffled on long enough. Let's look at the first game, and it is Brisbane versus Geelong at the Gabba at 7:50 on Thursday night, the 6th of March. It's a rematch of the preliminary final of last season, and the Lions are, as we know, coming off the 2025 premiership after finishing the home and away season in 5th position. So not many teams do that outside the top 4, go all the way. The Cats, yes, are still hurting from that 10-point loss in the preliminary final and did finish on the ladder in the home and away 3rd at the end of the home and away season. And as I just said, yes, it was the Lions by 10 points in that preliminary final the last time we met. I did say off the top of the show, there's a bit of question marks about whether this game goes ahead on this day, on this week, this round. The weather may play a part in that. The AFL hasn't made a decision just yet. They're leaving it as late as possible. Probably the likely scenario is it still goes ahead. The second most likely scenario is that it gets moved to the round 3 bye, which both teams have a bye in round 3. So it could still be played at the Gabba. Everyone keeps their tickets. Yes, anyone who's got a flight booked and paid for that and a hotel accommodation, that's really going to mess them up. But That's probably the best case scenario at this point in time. I guess the game's also going to be exciting for Geelong supporters. Yes, this is a Geelong channel. If you didn't figure that out, I've got some stuff behind me. It's all about Geelong. It's the first game we'll probably see Bailey Smith play in the Hoops colours, in the Cats colours for 2025. So that will be exciting for all Geelong fans if he's fit enough, if he's right to go. But all signs are that he should be okay. Now, Brisbane are pretty good at the Gabba. Oh, shocker. Well done, Ben. I'm glad I clicked this video to find that out. Yeah, they're 8-9, 8 out of their last 9 at the Gabba. They're pretty strong there. They don't lose too many games there. However, Geelong did beat them at the Gabba in round 7 last year by 26 points. So I don't know what that says. I'm still going to tip Brisbane for this one. I am going to tip Brisbane for this one. I had a little graphic here. I didn't bring it up. There we go. I'm going to tip Brisbane for this one by 20 points, purely based on their record at the Gabba. I think it'll be a reasonably close game, this one. As I said, I'm always going to tip the home team against the interstate side by 20 points. That's just my margin that I don't change week to week. It's the way it always is. But I'm going Brisbane there just purely on that record at the Gabba. I wouldn't be surprised if Geelong won, but I can pick against my Cats. I'm able to do that. I'm a serious football tipper. I'll tip whoever I think is going to win. And I think this week will be Brisbane if we play them. If we move the game to the GMHBA Stadium, maybe I'll have a different opinion on that. But that's where it's at. The next game is Sydney versus Hawthorn at the SCG, 7:40, Friday the 7th of March. And this is last year's grand finalist in Sydney versus the most hyped up team in AFL history, if you ask me, in Hawthorn. Sydney's clearly coming off the smashing, the huge loss in that grand final against Brisbane, and Hawthorn made it all the way to the semi-finals before being sent packing by Ken Hinkley and the Power. And last time these two teams played each other, it was Sydney by 76 points in round 8 of last year. I think you can probably get a sense of which way I might be going on this one. Sydney have won 7 out of the last 9 at the SCG, and last played the Hawks there back in 2023, belting them by 81 points. Okay, it's pretty clear I'm going to pick Sydney here based on that. I know a lot of people are tipping Hawks to have a great year this year, and they still may. I don't think they will, but it's possible they'll have a great year. Most people are saying that. I don't say that, but most people are saying Hawks are going to have a great year. They won't win this game against Sydney. There's too much on the line for Sydney here. They'll absolutely win this one. As I said, Sydney by 20 points. It's always 20 points for me if it's an interstate away team. I think the home ground advantage is going to be too strong. And on top of those margins that I spoke about, they've won 5 out of the last 6 against Hawthorn as well. So clearly they play pretty well against the Hawks, albeit Hawks were a young developing side over the last few years. All right, next game, Gold Coast versus Essendon at People First Stadium at 5:15 on Saturday the 8th of March. Last year, Gold Coast finished 13th, and after losing 4 out of their last 6 games, they really sort of struggled towards the finish line there, missed the finals again, sadly. Essendon, I think, were much better. I think they must have lost 5 out of 6 or something like that. No, what did they bombed at the end of the season. They won 1 of their last 7, actually. So to finish in 11th spot, they did look finals bound for much of the year. There, Gold Coast have won 7 of their last 9 at People First Stadium, including beating the Bombers by 11 points in round 13 last year. So they're looking pretty good. My prediction for this one, I'm confident about Essendon's chances this year, but I'm still picking Gold Coast. Yes, by 20 points again. I'm picking the home team against the interstate side again. I think Gold Coast will be good enough to beat the Bombers, who have had a good preseason, it must be said. But I think Gold Coast at home should get the job done. They might be wet and windy there. Bombers are probably not going to kick 17 goals 2 or whatever they kicked against us in those kind of conditions. That might bring them unstuck a little bit, but yeah, definitely Gold Coast for me on that one. And the last game of opening round is GWS versus Collingwood at NG Stadium at 3:20 on Sunday, the 9th of March. Last year, GWS finished 4th with 15 wins and did look like a serious premiership chance before bowing out in straight sets in September. And Collingwood finished 9th last year after winning the premiership the year before. Didn't make the finals. All right, so GWS have won their last 6 of 9 at NG Stadium, including a 32-point win against the Pies round 1 of last year. I'm going to predict, it's pretty obvious again, I'm picking the home team again against the interstate opponent. There's not enough of a reason for me to go against that, to pick Collingwood here. It's GWS by 20 points. The interstate advantage, too good. They've also beaten Collingwood 4 consecutive times as well at NG Stadium. So I'm not picking Collingwood on a hunch at all. So, yeah, all right. It's probably a good opportunity to have a quick sponsor read, and I'll come back with my strategy in just a sec.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Use the offer code GOCATS at checkout when shopping their store online to get 20% off your next purchase.
A huge Hoops Crew thank you to Cyril Cook Florist. All right, for those of you who are still with me and want to know what's this magical strategy that's going to see this bloke get 150 tips right this year, well, it's not that complicated, really. There's a few elements to it, but essentially, I always pick the home team if they're playing an interstate opponent. Yeah, there's some exceptions to that. If the interstate opponent's got an incredibly fantastic record against whoever they're playing, I don't know, let's say Collingwood always beats Gold Coast, something like that. I've got all these things marked down. I've done all my research, all that sort of stuff. But let's just say that kind of situation where the last 8 times Team A has beaten Team B. So it doesn't matter where they're playing this game. I'm picking the team that's won 8 in a row. I'll always do that, regardless of what's going on. If a team's got that winning percentage against another team or winning streak, I'm going with the winning streak every single time. Every single time I'm doing that. It'd have to, I don't know, I can't think of a scenario where I wouldn't. So always pick the home team against the interstate opponent. I always tip the home team where they're the sole tenant club. Again, there's some exceptions to that. I'm not going to bore you with the exceptions to that rule. And I'm talking about the sole tenant club, I'm talking about, sometimes there's, might be an Essendon. I think they're a tenant club of Docklands. Whatever, if they're not, regardless. If they're playing another side in Victoria, from Victoria, that's not a tenant club of that venue, then I'm definitely picking the home team in that situation. Again, it's about the record that the other team has. It doesn't have to be as strong. I've made slight adjustments for that. It doesn't need to be necessarily 8 wins in a row. It could be 7 or 6 wins in a row. But that's probably the only time I'm going to change my tip in that situation where the recent history against those teams really is clearly leaning one way towards the away team in that situation. And if it's just basically 2 teams sharing the same venue, 2 MCG teams, it's pretty straightforward. I'm always tipping the home team there. Again, matchup. How the recent history of the 2 teams will play a part. Not as strong as if they're if they're not sharing the venue. I'm getting all those words mixed up. Basically, the criteria is strict, really. But yeah, if you're a shared tenant team, usually I'm going on recent history. I'm always going to pick the home team, but if recent history is somewhat stronger, then I might be persuaded to tip otherwise. In those kind of games, I'm always tipping the home team to win by 10 points. So I always bring that margin in just a little bit where there's a little bit more parity between the venue and who normally plays their home games at that venue. So that's pretty much it's a little bit more detailed than that, but that's basically my strategy in a nutshell. Thanks for watching. If you've come this far, this show, as I said, will be every Monday night at 8:30. I guess you'll probably keep watching if my tips are going really well. You may stop watching if I'm languishing at the bottom of most footy tipping ladders. But if I'm doing pretty well, I may be onto something. We'll wait and see. Hey, I haven't got a crystal ball, but I'm pretty confident in statistics, and I think that'll back me up as the year goes on. Don't ask me. I'm pretty sure I'll get 4 in a row this week. How many will I get after 4 weeks of football? I don't know, but I expect to be near the pointy end. But if it's all falling apart, I'll still front up. I'll cop it on the chin, and we'll go from there. So yeah. Anyway, if you want to join, just a reminder again, if you want to join the hoops tipping competition, the link is in the notes. Make sure you're back here on Tuesday night for the Cats episode at 8:30. Paul will be back on his Paul James show on Wednesday night. Normally he's back. Normally he shows Thursdays and Sundays, but he's doing his show on Wednesday night this week, ahead of the Cats game on Thursday night. So I'll be here Thursday night for post-game live immediately after that game. It's probably about 10:40, 10:30, around about that time anyway. When the game's done, when the song's been sung, as soon as that happens, I'll jump on, and I hope to see you there. We usually get a fairly good turnout. It's lots of fun in the chat, so make sure you come along to that one. So yeah, anyway, good luck. I'll check in next Monday night. Hopefully you go well. Hopefully you get all 4 tips. Hopefully we get all 4 games played. That'll be nice. And we'll see you on the next one. Go Cats. See ya.